You may have seen the viral video of this missile-like tree sliding down a slope towards an Issaquah neighborhood. It resulted in King County filing a lawsuit against 3 homeowners for damaging 142 trees, they say possibly for better views.
Fox 13's Alejandro Guzman spoke exclusively with one of the homeowners named in that lawsuit. They say the trees were putting his family and home at risk, and they tell us that they had permission for that work.
Hearing the high-pitched whine of chainsaws in the middle of the day is not uncommon for Alex Brown, who lives out in Issaquah.
We're in a rural area. People cut firewood all the time.
But a few hours later, he was surprised by what one of his motion-triggered trail cameras captured back on March 22nd.
I mean, it was flying.
A massive tree sliding down a 500-foot slope toward his neighborhood. The path of destruction starts way back there. This trunk traveling extremely fast because, as you can see, every single limb has been removed all the way through. Neighbors say they're fortunate that it actually wedged itself underneath this log. Officials tell me, had this trunk deviated any which way, it would have either ended up in homes or on the interstate. Noticing the blatant cuts, Alex and his neighbors, the McNultys,
up there.
followed its path uphill, hoping to find where it originated from.
Many, many more trees had been cut and kind of left lying on that steep ravine.
Alex and Caitlin stumbled upon what King County officials are now calling one of the most egregious cases of timber trespass. In early June, the county filed a civil suit against 3 homeowners, accusing them of damaging or cutting at least 142 trees in Grand Ridge Park, a 1,200-acre protected forest in an environmentally critical area.
We heard from a few officials that it was the worst damage they'd ever seen in kind of decades of work with the county.
Alex says they called it a massacre. Trees were cut, topped, and delimbed without permits. According to court papers, harming the ecosystem and potentially destabilizing the hillside above homes.
And we sit right below that landslide hazard area. So we're very concerned about that, especially, once we get back into the rainy season. There's a lot of trees missing that we're helping stabilize that really steep slope.
The changes in skyline are clear when driving off I-90. You get a glimpse of the man-made window, a sea of blue visible through what's left of several dozen trees. The county suit claims the result of the tree chopping has given at least one of the homeowners a substantially improved view of West Tiger Mountain.
I reached out to King County's Department of Natural Resources to get a lay of the land, figure out when to get a permit and what the process is. They made it very clear. This should have never happened. These trees are actually on public lands, meaning you can't cut, limb, or top them off just to get a better view.
We're living in fear.
One of the homeowners named in the suit, who asked not to be named, claims this is about safety concerns, not views.
Everything that is existing that's problematic is not on our property, it's on King County's property.
The homeowner moved into what they thought would be their dream home in September of 2024 with his wife, 2 children, and 1 on the way. He says the trees have been a problem from the start.
Our house was struck by a tree that was owned by King County, causing north of $100,000 worth of damage to our home 3 months after we moved into the house.
He says his daughter was sleeping in the room impacted, water dripping through the room and the rest of the home. Not the blissful first Christmas they anticipated. This incident triggered the start of multiple attempts to reach the county, all of which he claims went unanswered until March of 2025. He says he received a call from King County giving him permission to take action on public land.
A tree is considered an imminent hazard if it could fail at any moment in an area often used by people. If this is true, the tree can be removed without a clearing permit as it is exempt per King County Code Chapter 16.82.
He also took this King County message as a green light to hire an arborist to work on hazardous trees.
All of these trees are dead. We're still looking at hundreds of trees, and I wouldn't say that we have an improved view because of it.
He says this is only part of the much-needed work. He showed us around the property, pointing out leaning and down trees. He says about 100 more need some type of work.
And our hope is that we can make the rest of them healthy, too.
Work, he says, was not meant to endanger anyone.
We were very alarmed. In fact, the day that we heard of that news was when we completely stopped all of the operations because we wanted to ensure that there was no potential threat or safety concern to any of the homes around us.
The homeowner is open to working with King County, which he claims still has not been out to assess their trees near his home. The trial is scheduled for June of 2026. The county is seeking treble damages and civil penalties. Criminal charges are also on the table.
We believe that we had permission to do this work, and we recognize that we were prioritizing our family safety.
All right, so Allie is joining us now. So Allie, you were out there, you talked to the different sides. I'm glad you got that homeowner that's listed in that lawsuit, because in the beginning, we were all hearing that narrative. They chopped down all these trees, but obviously there's so much more to this story. After being out there, does the city's assertion that this person did it just for the views, does that make sense to you at this point?
Right now, as I know it, no. I mean, being there on the property all afternoon yesterday, yes, we saw those trees that have been completely stripped. You know, they look very bare. You have the tops of them, but then the middle is just very bare. I don't think that's definitely a view, especially of West Tiger Mountain. It kind of peeks through, so maybe that's why the county is saying it substantially improves the view of West Tiger Mountain. But their view, as their home sits on that hill, they have a much better view, a beautiful view of Issaquah Mountain directly in front of their living room. So they say, had they wanted a clear view, had they wanted to improve their view, they would have just chopped at the forest, which you can see that that hasn't happened. I think this also addresses a lot of the issues. I mean, you heard from him saying that King County hasn't been to their property. They've been downhill, where we saw that trunk just going down the slope at least 4 times in a week. To his knowledge, he hasn't had King County come out. What he has come out is a bunch of people that are upset and angry that he chopped the trees, and now his family is being harassed.
Yeah, he feels the narrative is not accurate, so we'll see what happens in court.